As of January 2025, Hunyuan stands as the best photorealistic text-to-video model that you can run locally on ComfyUI. Now, how does this compare to cloud-based solutions like Runway Gen-3, for example? In this video, I will guide you through how to install Hunyuan on your computer locally, showcase some tests I've conducted, and compare the results. I'll share my thoughts on what works, what doesn't work, and what you could use as settings to save you some time. As usual in this channel, we will focus on architecture, aesthetic, and mood and feel. Let's dive in. So the first things you want to do is to make sure that you have ComfyUI installed. So double click on this one, you should have this folder. If not, there's I'll put the description below to install ComfyUI locally on your computer. Or you can click on the video above. It should appear with a little eye, and then you can click on it and install it on your machine. Okay, so now you should have ComfyUI open on your machine. Now the first things you want to do is you want to go to your manager and just ensure that you update ComfyUI. So I highly recommend to update ComfyUI at least, or you can update all. So I'm just going to update ComfyUI. Okay, so as soon as you update it, the first things you want to do is you want to click on the first link below and download the model. So start with the models, those three models here. So those ones, I recommend this one if you have more than 12 GB of VRAM on your graphic cards. Otherwise, you can download this one and this one. We'll test all of them to see how the quality change. But I highly recommend at least these two to download. So make sure you get enough space. And then when you're happy with this, you just right click on this and then save link as. And then here you're gonna go into your ComfyUI folder and ComfyUI models, and then under diffusion model I create here a new folder for Hunyuan, and then here I have my model. So I'm not gonna re-download them, they're quite long, so I just you just save it here and it will save it automatically, download and save it. So that's for the three model. Now you also need the VAE. I haven't tested FP32 just because from what I heard the difference is not big between them, so I just wanted to reduce the amount of like sort of variable, so I just focus on the BF16 and I got some really decent results. So again, right click, save the link as, and here this time you're gonna go into, because it's a VAE, so you're gonna go into your ComfyUI folder and you're gonna go under model, and then here you should have VAE, and then the same here. To organize a bit my model, I'll just create folders, and then here is my VAE, so just save it here and it will download under that folder. Now the last one you want to do is your LoRa. So right click on this, save the link as, and then you go back to your LoRa, and then here under models, and then you go to your LoRa, and then here same, I create a folder just to organize a bit, and here is my fast video LoRa. I downloaded another couple of them, but they weren't really working, so this one is really the one that that I test. So download this one, and then as soon as you've done that, you want to click on the second link, which is to download your text encoder. So I'm just gonna paste this one here. And then here you should already, if you use Flux, you should already have your clip L. Have it already, but same idea, you need to save your clip L, and I recommend the FP8. Same idea, I haven't tried the FP16. But the FP8 worked really well with me, so I just happy with this one. And then save the link as, but you know, if you do some tests and you want to let me know in a comment below if you feel like it's worth download the 16 one. From my experience, it wasn't sort of. And then here you want to go to your text encoder, and then here there's this one here. So it's not organized in this folder, but here is my my text encoder. So I just save this one here. Pretty big as well, 9 gigs. So they're big files. And then when you're done with all that, you want to click on the third link below, which is basically the Hunyuan example. So here, that's what he basically mentioned. That's the official website. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna right click on this workflow, and I'm gonna save the link as, and then I'm just gonna save it under my download for now. And there it is. So now I have a JSON file I can open with ComfyUI. So I'm just gonna go back to my ComfyUI, and I'm just gonna drop that here. And if you don't see your model in the list here, you might want to go to Workflow, Edit, and refresh node definition. That will help you to actually refresh here those folders, so they will appear if they're not showing up there. So in case you're missing custom node and you have some red component, just click on this and it should show you which one are missing. You click and you download, and then it should work. So I have all the workflow here already ready, which is quite amazing. So you can really use that as a very good starting point. Now what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna change and ensure we've got the right models in. So I'm going to my load diffusion model, and I click on this, and I will start with the FB8, not the first video. Let's just stay with the FB8, and here there is the BF16. So again, if you have more than 12 GB of VRAM on your graphic cards, you can go straight with the BF16. I'll start with this one just to show you, but you can flip through them here. Now there's I don't know, some changes with the iPhone with the weight. So I had to, default never really worked well with me. It just got stuck. So I always pick one of them, mostly this one. I've tried this one. I haven't tried this one, those two. But I tried this one and it works really well. So I highly recommend to select this one. And if you want to change, you can just do some tests, and same, let me know in a comment if it worked, if one worked better for you. And then here, clip dual clip loader. So again, the clip L that we just download from here, and then so we just select this one, and then the second one here, which is our Llama 3 here. So we just select this one, and as a save send. And in here, you're gonna have the choice here, and that's where the update comes from. That's why I ask you to update your ComfyUI, because now we have also Hunyuan video here under type. So just pick your Hunyuan video, and then finally you'll load VAE. So you click on this, and then you need to find your VAE. So we just download the BF16 from our VAE here. But you might also have the 32. I didn't download it, but yeah, you pick this one, BF16, and you're pretty much ready to go. So here is you can run the workflow. There's already a prompt here, but things that I really want you to have a look at is sort of the guidance. So the more guidance here, the closer it's gonna get to the prompt, the less it's gonna get more creative, I guess. Or the width and height works quite well. Actually, this is sort of by default works quite well. I I really had some really good result from that. If you want higher resolution, you probably want to use an upscaler. Haven't get my head yet around an upscaler for ComfyUI. But there are a lot of good online options, alternative that you can use as well. So length, so based on this video, we're gonna do like a 24 frame per second. So this is roughly 3 seconds video, but we're gonna keep it as 1 for now. Random, I keep the noise random, so then, you know, I can just generate and have different outcome with the same prompt and same settings. So I sort of like that. The case sampler and the scheduler, I haven't get the chance yet to experiment too much with them. The Euler and the simple scheduler seems to work really well. But again, if you feel like you test a couple of them, or if you saw someone testing different one, I'm curious to see. So put it in the video below, and then here in the comments below. And then here the steps. So steps here, we've got 20 steps. I will get back to this. I've done a couple of tests and 20 were not good at all. So I'll get back to you a little bit later when I will show you the different comparisons. So I'll show you various tests I've done with various settings, and then we'll run through each of them, and then I'll just tell you what went wrong and what I put here and why. And then we have a case sampler here, VAE decode tiles. So I haven't touched those ones. They work quite well with me. I would keep the tiled, but if you want to go without the tile, so this helps with the VRAM and your graphic card. So, you know, I'm running a 4090 and I still use the tile. So I think it's still a good way to break it down a bit. But here are like a couple of notes anyway from the developer, and then here we have save animate WebP. So this will sort of save it as a WebP like file. I'm not a big fan of this one, so I'm just gonna go and use a node. Called video combine. So if you don't have this one, it's the video helper suite. So if you go in your manager, install missing node, and then let's have a look at all, and it's video combine. So I think it's this one here. I believe it's this one here. Yeah, it's the helper suite. So it's the 38 here. So you can just download this one, write it down here, and you can download this one. And you will have that node popping up. Yeah, helper suite. And then here what you do is, instead of copying this one, I like to keep on all my workflow. I kept this one just to compare the results, and it's interesting to see. So here, the only settings you really want is change your rate frame to 24. And then here you can type and what I usually do here in the prefix is I also put my settings, so I know what is nice and what comes out. And then here I'm just gonna keep it as a video format, so H264. And here, the lower you go, the better the quality is, but also the bigger the file is. I tried 10. I tried 5. I haven't seen much difference between 10 and 5, but again, there's so many parameters and settings. I mean, like, this is just, yeah. So you could just, yeah, if you get the chance to have a look and test all the settings, it's amazing. And here, there we go. So what I'm gonna do here is, like, I'm just gonna show you a couple of my example of what I've done, so we can just, yeah, we can just run it. So before we're running the workflow, I just want to show you a couple of options if you have low VRAM. So there are a couple of ways you can reduce, still have like the workflow working with less VRAM. You can choose here. So the FP8 will work on lower VRAM GPU, but also the fast video. So try them and see what work best. And here you can actually add a model, a LoRa model. Now, here there is a trick here because it's not a LoRa. So I used the LoRa before, and if I do load LoRa loader, it's a different component, right? So I think I'm talking about in another video about like the difference between this one, but this one would be like sort of, you know, a LoRa to fine tune your image and help with getting a better results. But this one is a model, a LoRa model, so it's a bit different, sort of help the machine to reduce the amount of steps here. So if I plug this one in, so I'll just put it between the model sampler and my basic data, and I'm just gonna select the right one. So I'm just gonna go to fast video LoRa FP8, the one we just download, which was here, this one. And now it's between my basic loader and my model and my basic guider, sorry. And then here I can actually reduce the amount of steps. So I saw a couple of people using 6 steps. For my use, I'm going to show you later, but this was not enough to run something that ended up being okay in terms of results. But the important things to keep in mind is just you can reduce the amount of steps drastically, and that's why the LoRa sort of help you process the file faster, so it just generate the image faster. Instead of having 20 steps, it's got only 6 steps, so it just gets your video out faster. Okay, so in this folder I prepared a couple of example for you to show you. Like I'll share all of those one with my Patreon. But basically that's an image I've done with actually this one I think was with Midjourney, but I really like it. I like the vibes, the lake, the artificial light, the reflection, the mountain in the background. I really like those ones. And this is what I got out of Gen-3, Runway Gen-3. So pretty good, 5-second video. Again, the quality is okay, but yeah, so cloud-based result with a good quality, and this is what I have. And basically what I try to see is how close can I get to this using Hunyuan. So here are the different results I had. So I'm just gonna go through. So basically what I tried in first place, also something really cool. So I'll be sharing all those ones with my Patreon. But basically what's amazing with this is like you can just take, so that's one of the results from my workflow. I take it, the video, any of the output, and I just click on drop it here. By the way, the output, you can find the output of any video that you generate with this. You can find it under AI, ComfyUI, and then you have an output folder here. And that's where you find all your images, images and videos. So, all right, we're back to the folder, and then here, so if I go to this one, so I try to get as close as possible. So the beauty with this is I can just take this one, drop it in. When I drop in, it updates all my workflow, which means I have my prompt that I wrote down, but I also have all my settings, and also all the mode I use. So, but I also wrote down here how many steps and what are the parameters, the main parameters I use. So this is the first result I got out of it. Really bad. Really bad sort of process. I'm not too sure what happened there, but I was just like, okay, well, yeah, okay, we definitely can do better. Now, if I look at this, it's basically the first settings where, you know, I select here my FP8, which is sort of not the best model. This one is the best model. So yeah, it's not the fast video. It's still that sort of in between. I have my dual text encoder, and then I also add my LoRa to drop down a bit the amount of steps I can have. So I just plug my LoRa there, and then here on the steps I put 6 steps. Now I didn't change anything else. I just kept this one, and this is the result I got from this one. And then I try again another one, which, you know, similar. It was just really I don't know. And also I think there was something, you know, when I compare back to my original image, here is something cinematic, interesting. The lights, I don't know, the colors are way better than this. And I think it got confused. We can have a look a bit at the prompt a bit later on. But basically, those are the same settings. I try this one, and I think it got bogged down on the futuristic, weird, cartoony style of the color and everything. And I think it just didn't work quite well. But again, FP8 with a LoRa with 6 steps. So I just insisted. I was like, maybe it's just, but it feels a bit for me like Stable Diffusion 1.5 when you start it and you start having some results, and I was just like, oh, is that where the sort of the video, the image to, or the text to video is at this stage in 2025? Maybe, you know, this ones, there's 20 steps, but that's how the prompt looked like. Futuristic architecture retreat, sits on the edge of a tranquil lake, blah, 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 blah. And I will tell you a bit later in the video how I got that detail prompt. Usually you can use a very simple prompt, but I like to expand in it, and I will show you how I do this. But basically, like, you know, but I think the sky displays pink and hue. So this is sort of like, okay. And then here, futuristic is also a dangerous word to use. And then glowing. So we've got futuristic, glowing, and then purple and pink. And then, of course, we end up with this type of things, which is a bit too much fluo, a bit too far away from the original one. So I updated the prompt, and I got this type of results, and I was like, this is actually quite good. So still FP8, and then I increase the steps and I remove my LoRa. So this is how it looks like, and then I disconnect this one. I kept the FP8 still, but I don't have any LoRa. And then I just increase my step from 20, that was sort of the default file, to 30. And this is how it looks like. And then my prompt, organic and minimal architecture, so that I was just like, okay, let's get rid of that futuristic things, because I think it's not going in the right direction. And then with warm artificial light inside. So I just changed this, like, from the glowy glowy parts, and I think it just worked a bit better. But I kept I kept the color of the sunset, sort of nice pink and purple colors. And this is really pretty much what I changed only, and that's the result I got. So it was actually quite good. And also, again, like from all the results, with or without LoRa, FP8 or FP16, the time it took was about 10 seconds per iteration. So here I have 30 steps or 30 iteration. So so it's just that's how you calculate around what's happening. And yeah, and that's the first results. So yeah, okay, quite interesting, but not quite there. So I try another one just to see, and this one came up actually really nice, I found. But again, we can feel like I like this, but somehow this is weird as well. But and then somehow the framing, how it framed the image, is not quite there yet. But I really like the frog on top of the image and the video, and then it looks really like a zoom in. I think it's actually quite well done, except this part here that somehow disappear, which is great, but it would be nice to disappear as well. But yeah, there's some reflection. The water, we can feel the movement of the water, so it's actually quite interesting video. But the framing wasn't quite right and things like that. And this is sort of the last one I got to, which again is the same prompt and with 30 steps, and with this one with BF16. So this was the big difference. Actually here it's BF16. I have to admit that it's looking actually quite nice. So I think it's really close to what I had with Runway. Like when I compare back to what we're talking about with this one, I don't know. Let me know your thought in the comment below. But for me, I found it actually quite convincing. So BF16, 30 steps, about 10 seconds per step. So yeah, about like 5 minutes to generate, and that's the result. Pretty much the same time as on the cloud. And what's nice as well is a second shot appearing on this one. So I don't know, I think it's quite convincing. So that's the first test, and what I want to do now is taking another image from Runway, and we're gonna go through the same settings than this one and see how those ones compare. All right, so in this part of the video, we'll look at this image here, which is quite interesting, and I found it quite successful from Gen-3. And let's see how we can get it into something similar to this one. So based on the first example I show you and all the work and the study, I think we're gonna try to skip all the step of study, and we're just gonna jump straight into this one, which this one here is actually FP16. So I'm just gonna go here, select my FP16. Okay, I don't want the LoRa, to see how it works. And then 30 steps, 3 seconds, same size. And now I'm gonna share with you what process I put into place. So I want to know how to describe this image. So I'm just gonna go in ChatGPT here, and I'm just gonna ask it to serene waterfront setting at twilights, feature futuristic architecture structure with a series of cylinder glass. So again, futuristic. I think this is what bugs me a bit. But let's continue. Translation, facade, gradient. Majestic. Maintain silhouette. Yeah, and it even described the village at the back. Okay, well, let's have a look at this. But I think I'm just gonna do some changes a bit just to make sure that we get okay results. Futuristic. I was a bit scared by this word, even in architecture. When students come and say like, I have a futuristic project, it's never really a good sign usually. So futuristic is sort of something for me. It's like reminds me a bit Tron. You know, Tron is futuristic. It's beautiful, but it's just LED everywhere. So if you merge that those warm color and things with a futuristic, you're gonna have same as previously what I was showing you with the example. So I'm just gonna do minimalistic. More minimalist architectural structure made out of glass. Theory of yeah, I think we should be okay. So let's run it and see how it looks like. All right, so that's the result we get, which is sort of okay in terms of quality. You can see the cloud. This was the one before. So if we compare to what we got with what I used with Gen-3 was image to video. So it's not a very fair comparison because I already had the basic image. So it's a bit, you know, like it's sort of, unfortunately, there is no such a thing as image to video yet on Hunyuan. But it might come very soon. And I'm looking forwards for it. I think it's lacking a bit of movement. I found on Gen-3 and Runway had slightly more control over the movement, and also I really like how it just sort of sunsets and the glowing come back. I think this is really nice and successful. This, you've got like this sort of rotation around the object, and then also like it feels like a slow motion. So very interesting. Whereas here it's just a bit of a cloud moving around your photo, but the photo is very static, and then the village there is not quite successful. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, I think this one, you know, the water is quite nice. Yeah, but again, very blurry background, not very clear of what's happening. I think this one is really sharp and nice. But again, I'm curious to see when we'll have image to video, how is that going to translate? Because, you know, we're going to have more input on the basic image, and I think that would be really interesting. I'll do another video when image to video sort of work. I just want to show you this. This one was with FP8 and then a LoRa, and only I think six steps. So again, you know, like when I've done this, I was like, oh, that looks like it's still at the stage of like Stable Diffusion 1.5 for image, but like, you know, for videos, and then it just like looks really, you know, like sort of hard to use. But then, you know, tweaking with a different elements, then you just get to quite interesting results just by by applying a different steps. So adding the settings I give you in this video, I think this is quite successful. You know, those ones are really bad. But again, I think, you know, like you add a couple of steps, and so I think it would be worth trying and get more of those ones to see the outcome again. But I think this is quite interesting. I like the water, I like the cloud. To finish this video, I just wanted to show you a couple of examples with another one that I've tested. I didn't do any video on Runway for this one, that's why I'm just gonna mention it quickly here at the end. But that was an image I've done with Flux. I was really happy with, and I just wanted to see if I ask ChatGPT, so same process, I asked ChatGPT the prompt for this image, what would be the results. And again, I'll share with my Patreon all the prompt I use for all the different videos and all the results, so you can see and compare on your own and drop it in the workflow. So this one, for example, I drop it in. I didn't use I used 16 again, and then so those ones were really the refined, so that I was really happy with it. 30 steps, and this is really what we just tried. I just had a look at the different prompt which ChatGPT gave me based on the image I just show you, based on this image. And yeah, and then the results were actually quite interesting. Some of them were very static, so this one doesn't feel like moving much, so it's just like, oh, what's the point of doing a video if it doesn't move too much? This one has a bit of a twist because it's like, it's two static shots of two different architecture, which is quite interesting to see. Yeah, but again, you know, like, what's the difference between this and having two really nice Flux images and put them one after the other on Premiere? So this is just really not the point of doing a video. And then this one here start to be quite interesting. There were a bit more movement, camera movement on the zoom in, and then this one. So yeah, there's a bit more, but again, it's very short. I also increased the length to 5 seconds to see how it looks like. So again, to increase the length, if you go back to the script here, you can just increase the length by adding more here. Like if you do 120, it will be 5 seconds video. I carry on this ones. This one is quite interesting as well, and there's two shots of two different architectures as well. But again, 5 second shot. There's a bit of texture, but very slow-mo. Interesting. This one I like because I felt it was like the same architecture, so somehow it managed to get the same idea of a zoom out from another direction, and then, you know, zoom in from there, and then there's a zoom out, and it looks like the camera is filming from there. So I think it's just, I found it quite interesting and successful. Shape is quite interesting, the composition is quite good as well. So yeah, I found it quite interesting. This one is also interesting, but it lacks a bit of movement. Again, you know, why would I do a video if I can just put two images and maybe have like an effect on this to just animate them? So, and then I start having a look at you know, giving in the prompt a bit more movement. So a bit more like, okay, like I want more movement, and I think somehow it moved the architecture more than the the camera. So this is quite interesting. I like it. So I think it's just like this, it brings another dimension that you don't expect. Of course, it's hard with architecture and stuff, but I think it brings some really interesting stuff. I like this one. I think this one was really nice. Same thing, could feel like the same architecture. I really like the movement here with the sun here, and then this movement is quite good. So again, the quality, you know, we're talking about 848 by 480, so it's still quite low resolution. But I think overall composition, the feel, the mood is quite successful. And I just love those ones as well. just this like sort of movement in architecture and how they sort of, there is some sort of consistency and some sort of regularity, which is I found beautiful. And this one is also quite interesting, especially this shot. So here it's just like sort of reveal, and it feels like a drone shot where just follow the facade and go over it. So again, I'll share all the output with my patrons, so you can have a look at what the setting were, and I'll share a couple of them on Instagram and on YouTube Shorts. But yeah, this one is quite interesting. Just like it is deep, deep hole. This one is great as well. I think it's, I don't know, there is this, like, this zoom in is just amazing, and then it just goes somewhere else. It feels like a dream place. This one, not too sure. Just go through a rocket, and then the rocket disappear into into a hole there. Yeah, so it's like a piece of architecture that take off and then goes through this hole. Yeah, why not? Create a nice transition. This one is also fascinating. It feels like they need to be on loop, you know, to just see how they look like. Anyway, I have plenty of them, and then I changed the format to see how we could use them, maybe in different formats. So those ones are more for shorts. This one's were too static. Love this one. Really love this one. Really love this one. I don't know, this one is not as interesting. This one is quite cool as well. I published it, I think, on YouTube. I also find it quite interesting how it just transform. You can see it coming from the back and just generate this form. And then there are more like abstract one that just really like this image more specifically, but this one, I think this part is my favorite part. This is a bit boring. This part is beautiful, and it's just a second. Yeah, this is just a bit of fog coming in. Yeah, this one was actually quite had some quality in terms of consistency, where you could feel like this thing still exists and it zoom out and it just disappear. So there's some interesting consistency there. Right, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoy it. You learn through the process, you know which settings you need to put to get some video out there. So again, this workflow is text to video. I found it's not the ideal workflow. I think I prefer image to video, just because it just streamlined the process. I think this process is a bit more abstract and you have less control on the output. But nevertheless, I think the outcome is very impressive compared to cloud-based results. We had a look at Runway, and I think I'm looking really forwards for the image to video to come and the video to video. I'll do a separate video about those ones when they are out and ready to be tested. Again, thanks for watching. Like the video if you like it. Comment. Let me know what you think. It helps a lot the channel. Subscribe, and thanks also especially to the Patreon. You're helping a lot, and I will upload all the files that I've produced on that video and more available for you. And enjoy exploring, and see you in the next video.